Hi everyone. So this video is about knowing the power of inner authority. And the reason I'm recording it is because after 11 years of living human design and decades of other things that led up to that, today it just gelled and became so real. And what I realized was when you know your inner authority, it comes alive for you and the benefit becomes really obvious. And there's a difference between knowing about it and having some experience of it and really coming to grips with the reality of it as it shows up and you experience it in your real life, and how obviously beneficial it becomes. So I'm going to draw upon my own experience, which is sacral, coming from the gut. And I'll use that because I can talk from real life experience, but the point of the whole thing is to give you a glimpse of really how it works for you in your life so that you can make something really useful, something that you can grasp and go, this makes a real difference because I make better choices and better decisions out of this experience. My body, my whole nature has a way of decision making that's obviously more accurate, relevant, and alive than having ideas in the mind about how it should be done. And therefore takes a lot of pressure off your mind so that it can then focus on what it's designed to deal with. Now, the key to this is realizing that this is about how you operate when you make decisions. Now, one thing that hasn't been emphasized is that choices and decisions, although not exactly the same, are deeply related. Just like freedom and responsibility are deeply related. If you want freedom, you must marry it together with responsibility. The more freedom you have, the more responsibility you have to use that freedom in a way that truly keeps you free and extends that freedom to other people. And the more responsibility you have, the more freedom you have to do you need to exercise that freedom in the way that truly works for you, so that there's more need to be free to truly turn up as who you are. And when you get freedom and responsibility together, it empowers you. It brings out your power. It brings you alive. And you can see that everywhere in the world at the moment, particularly politically and socially and in many different ways. Well, choice and decision are very deeply connected like that. So if you're able to make better decisions, it's going to give you more freedom of choice. Decisions are like the responsibility. I mean, you're responsible for making your own decisions. But if you make great decisions like responsibility, it gives, you take that responsibility, it gives you more freedom to make better choices. And better choices require better decision making. And the two of them are married together. And that is so fundamental to living the life that you're truly born or designed or destined or whatever you want to call it. Living the life that you truly enjoy and bring out the very best of who you are, in the most elegant and efficient, even exceptional way. And so making decisions according to your inner authority is one of the most practical things you can come to grips with, that gives you greater freedom of choice, more ability to handle your responsibilities in a way that works for you, and therefore, by extension, works for other people as well, because we're connected. And this is why I'm making such an emphasis on this right here. So I'll show you my chart in human design. It's this one. And as you can see, if you know anything about human design, I have sacral inner authority. In other words, I make decisions according to human design most effectively when I listen to my gut, how my gut responds to what is actually happening now. So the way I'm designed to make decisions is in the moment, in response to what is happening from my gut. Now, to illustrate, that's great to understand theoretically, and people have talked about this for years in human design, even decades, about listening to your gut response, like or or and that's useful. However, when I came across human design, I was in my late 50s, around about 58, 59. So there'd been a lot had developed in my life. I'd grown a lot. I wasn't, operating at a very simple level like a child, where it's like, that sort of. So that was a little bit of a disadvantage, because I'd had 59 years of practicing not listening to that, or ignoring it, or putting it away. And that's relevant to what I'm talking about. Now, I understood human design. I had decades of preparation to, because of the various skills and sciences, both practical science, in Western society, and sciences in other cultures, plus old sciences. And I'd spent decades working with those, understanding them, improving them, fine-tuning them, making them more relevant, adding new dimensions to it. And then human design came along. So I figured I knew a lot. And that's part of the problem. Because when you look at my chart, I've got a very open ajna, completely open, and very open emotional. And the head is undefined and the throat's undefined. So even what comes out of my throat is unpredictable, but I'm extremely open to other people's ideas and other people's emotions. Now, because of that, I did a lot of work on mental clarity and emotional processing over the decades, being involved in a lot of alternative things as well. Deeply emotionally processing things, understanding all sorts of techniques on processing hidden or repressed or releasing emotion in a healthy way that was healing, and very similarly with being very open-minded to all sorts of ideas from all sorts of different approaches, from science to astrology to this culture, that culture, artistic, very creative, very rational, very pragmatic, being a teacher, you name it. So when I came along, and this happens with everyone in your own way, when you come along to human design, you think you've got it. And then you get some experience and you think you've got it. And I was one of them for 11 years. And it's only just recently where I've realised And partly through a teacher of mine that goes back 4.5 decades. And part of it was listening to Ra last night when he talked about how people get so wound up about things, and life is your servant if you just trust it. And I've had this said to me many, many times, plus a lot of changes I've been going through over the last couple of months, and particularly the last week or two and couple of weeks. Now, there's a lot happening astrologically at the moment that makes sense of all of that. But gradually I was having experiences where good friends of mine and people around me were going da-da-da-da-da, and this and that, and then we'd trigger each other and I'd get really wound up or feel really upset and offended, and I looked at the Enneagram, but it boiled down to this, and it was quite intense because it would trigger off really intense feelings in my gut. And using all the skills that I developed over decades of processing emotions and so on, I really went into that and cleared a lot of them and learned, had the last couple of weeks, unbelievable insights. But I still hadn't got it because my long-term teacher and people like Ra and people around are going, life is a gift. This is something one teacher of mine said over and over again, life is a gift from our, however you want to describe our creator or where we came from. And our job is to learn to receive gifts. Now, I'm someone who's also meant to take things and bring out the very best in people, reform, help them find my own highest potential, and then expand that to helping other people truly tap into and realise in the real world their highest potential, not necessarily drag through, the pits or drain the swamp. I've done that work and done a lot of it, and I know people who do that. But that I've just been realising that's not my thing. I've done it, I know it, I can do it, but it's not what I'm here to do. It's like I've changed the tyres on a car, but I'm not a mechanic. It's like, and then I looked at it, and it came down to this simple. Experience after experience after experience. Whenever my gut, it didn't go, or I'd train myself out of it. But when something happened, someone did something that offended me or triggered me or I didn't like or whatever, and my gut just went, it was like, and it was a really bad feeling in the gut. I just felt really bad and hurt. And that was the thing that sucked me in more than I felt hurt until I really got in touch and realised the simple message was my gut was saying, no, don't go any further. This isn't satisfying you. Just leave it. And it took me weeks, and you can ask some of my friends, it took weeks, even months, to just realise that ugly feeling was my gut trying to tell me, don't go there. It wasn't fulfilling me. It was just, don't go there. But I've got to process all this stuff because of all the emotional work I've done. I've got totally open emotional centre, right? I'm not designed to work on emotions. I'm designed to be able to receive them and take from them what will support me and let the rest go. Mentally, I'm not designed to take everybody's ideas on and figure it all out and get clear and, understand it all. And, there are plenty of people around like that who are designed to do it. Some of my best friends. all I had to do was listen to my gut. And when it felt bad, just realise this is something not for me. And when it felt like good, this is something I can take on board or I can pursue or something I can do. If I start doing something, like I've been organising all my internet marketing and stuff like that for the last couple of weeks, and it's been horrendous because I'm not really that good. I'm a great person for somebody to be a partner with because you're organised. I'm a great person to get organised because I've got a lot to give and a lot to do, but I need a partner who's really organised. And I've been just pushing for a couple of weeks. Many of you may have noticed it on emails, pushing to get it together because I've got to get it together. I've got responsibilities. I've got all this work that I've done for decades that I truly want to take to the next level and give as a legacy. You know, so it's important. I'm 70. It's like, get it done now or don't wait another 10 or 15 years, you know. I mean, hopefully I'm still here, but do it. Now's the time. You put the time in, now give. And I'm finding so much joy in giving. But working, and when it starts getting like this, and then there was one stage, just watching TV too much, I was getting dizzy spells. It felt like my gut, and I just stopped it and they disappeared immediately. This sacral, this inner authority is real. My gut just got to the point where it went, no more of putting up with you just getting away with thinking you know about it or having some odd experiences of it or teaching people about it. You need to live it really, unequivocally, no holds barred in your life if you're ever going to truly fulfill who you are. Part of my work is to show the highest potential to people, so I've got to go there. I've got to realise my highest potential. And my gut was going, don't do that. Find someone to organise that for you. Don't do that. Get so-and-so, you know, to make the sale or grow the tamarind trees or make the food and the most confronting thing was listening to my inner authority did two things. It told me, it's teaching me how to not do what I'm not designed to do, which is always stressful. They call it frustration in human design, but frankly, it's just stressful. And it doesn't work. And it wastes my time and energy at a time in my life where I hadn't got the time to waste time and energy. And it makes it crystal clear what I am here to do because it's so satisfying. It's so much fun. It's not my idea of satisfaction. It's just, can I live a life this good? Could I truly find my work and then open up to allowing people to do what they're great at doing, and we work together where I do what I love, and the moment I start walking down a path where it's like it becomes a struggle, it's just like, hey, and I don't mean just because I think it's a struggle. There are times you just got to, you know, I don't want to do this. I don't think this is good for me. And you just got to stretch yourself and go out. But when your gut is just twisted, feeling tense, stressing you out, feeling bad, it's that simple. Sacral doesn't always have to show up like or some theory. It shows up the way it shows up in you if you've got sacral inner authority. And when you get to know how it shows up in you, and trust me, It's right in the gut, right where they say it is, where Ra talked about it being, if you're sacral. That gut is alive and vibrant and intelligent. And it doesn't speak in words, but it speaks very loudly. I know it's been speaking to me that way profoundly and disengaging decades and decades, 50, 60 decades of conditioning that I've got to suffer and struggle to get somewhere. It's not true. Am I different? Am I less, go, go, go? And when I was 20, of course, I'm 70. Things change. Now, if you've got emotional inner authority, now I'm not an expert, but everybody who's close to me has. My best friends, my partner. And that inner authority, I watch in them. Now, again, I can't speak from my own experience, but the point of that was to really make clear how real it is from my experience. So when you experience emotional inner authority, it's going to be that real, especially if you're open to it. It will reveal itself. It will demonstrate itself to you through your everyday experience. Because following inner authority to make decisions works. And sometimes the most confronting thing is it works so well and it makes your life, even in the midst of difficult times, really tight times. We're just building a whole business from scratch now, and it's that early stage like birth, and it's tight. And yet, in the midst of that, some of the best and most real lessons. Because the way through those times is to enjoy those times, to find the beauty in the midst of all the, mental fears, emotional dramas, all the other things that are going on. Lack of resources. Find that beauty because it's there. Inner authority is not external dependent. It'll work for you just as well when you're in a really tight situation as it will when you're not. In fact, some of us are conditioned to really look for it in tight situations and to overlook it in the good times. And you don't want it. So emotional clarity is not mental clarity. It involves going through shifts in your emotions. Some of them are quite wavy and dramatic. Some of them are quick and fairly even and then drop down quick and very even. And some of them are sort of jagged. But you go through emotional changes until you reach a point where there's the one thing in common is there's no second guessing. Doesn't matter what other people say, doesn't matter what your mind says. Emotionally, there's no second guessing. Now, that's not me, but I feel that clarity in the people around me who are emotionally defined because I've got a completely open emotional center. And I know when they're clear. I can feel it. In a sense, amplified. So if you're emotionally defined, you will know when you get to understand how you emotionally cycle. And when that emotion is, I suppose the word is, related to deeply enough, because emotional clarity is about relating until there is resolution. And there's no second guessing. Everyone's comfortable with it. But this is within you. You are, every part of you is comfortable with it. No matter what your mind comes up with as excuses or ideas, you know. Whereas sacral inner authority is a response in the moment that's positive, that you just, from your gut, it doesn't give you what you think, it gives you what lights you up. It brings you back to life. And then the sacral, now I've got some close friends and clients, sorry, not sacral, the spleen, close friends and clients who are very splenic. One of my greatest teachers, probably my longest term and greatest teacher in this life, is splenic. And I've watched and worked with him for decades. And if anyone seems like just cruising through life, not in a sense of just cruising, but someone who's just there in the midst of life and makes decisions, has to because of various things that they do, technically, like fly aeroplanes, for instance, personally fly them. They have to be there instantly, instant reactions. And yet, when that instinct that's built in for people to survive develops and it's given the space to express itself, to do its thing, it goes from a survival instinct to a knowing how to thrive, going from survive to thrive. And if you're splenic and your life is thriving, moment by moment, instant by instant by instant, you're in touch with how you're designed to operate. If you're sacral and you're responding in a way that lights your body up and that you enjoy, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like, yes, I'm giving myself to this rather than, I'm working at this. Then you're in touch with your inner authority. When you're working at this is not sacral. That's struggle. That's not self, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't allow you to access your true value or to give it to other people. And when you're just relating to life emotionally, when you're emotionally defined, you're relating, you're getting to know life, you're not in a rush. You're going up and down, you're going through the ups and downs that you go through in any relationship. The times, but then you get to that point where you commit, like committing to a relationship. My partner's emotionally defined. I'm sacral. I knew almost immediately and definitely within the first 2 times we met that this is the person for me. This is a woman I loved and I wanted to commit. And it was from here, not up here. And it felt good. And I asked her a year or so later, and I said, yeah, you sort of were open to it, but 6 months to a year before you really knew? And she just looked at me and smiled. She's Thai, and in a few words, yeah. There's this commitment that comes emotionally where there's no second guessing. And that's the beauty there. And that's powerful when you've developed a relationship with your emotional nature that's committed and you feel the joy of that, the magic of that relationship. When you're in touch with your sacral and it gives you life, rather than makes life. I mean, life's got enough challenges as it is without making it difficult for yourself. You know, where you go, oh, that person hurt me. Well, don't take it any further. They may have hurt you. You may have just been super sensitive, but don't take it any further now, because your gut just said this isn't going to produce any real value. Now, I've done a lot of hang in there emotional processing, but it's never been as effective, particularly with emotionally defined people, as just backing out, leaving it alone and letting it come to me and just responding naturally in the moment without an agenda or without threatening them in any way. And it's resolved so much better. Timing. And going, oh, it's opening up for me, go for it. Oh, it's not opening up, relax, wait. And then living in your instincts, thriving. And then there's the other inner authorities. Now, I know those three fairly well. The other ones, it's like doing what you want because you want to do it. You need to get in touch with your will. Having a defined G center and nothing else below that, you know, you need to know your heart, how your heart operates. And if you have neither of those, you don't have an inner authority that operates, that acts in a particular way. Your inner authority is receptive. Now that's a very intricate one. So I don't want to drag this on. I've spoken a lot longer than I intended to. But I want you to get a grasp, even if none of the words I said made any sense to you, but you realised inner authority is real, because it's really gone to a whole new level and come alive for me now. And if that's just in my energy or in the way I present, and that gives you hope. A lot of my work is working with people in consultations, you know, helping them really get that clear in a way that works for them. So you have that experience rather than just being given some theory or being given a bunch of ideas about it. It needs to be alive, because when you're ready to accept it, it's what I saw from Ra. It was alive in him. I mean, I've never met him and never learned anything from him except what I read. But that 1 5-minute video when he said that, and I was ready, and I knew he knows, and I knew. That's the type of experience you have that will bring inner authority to life, to work with someone like that. And I'm happy, because it's what I've been doing for 40 years, consultations, and 11 years with human design. So I'm happy to do that with you. And I've got more in-depth and over time programs called Master Design, where I really work with people in depth about bringing that to life in your daily, in what's important to you in your life. So if I can help you with any of those, get in contact with me. There'll be a website below here where you can go and find out about consultations. And over the next couple of months, we're going to be bringing out some really great stuff. So keep your eye out for that, you know, that will make not only human design simpler in the sense of the advanced work in anything is the basics done really well. Easy to understand, less caught up in theoretical words and that. But also, my great hope is that it comes alive for you as it has, and it is coming alive and will even more come alive in me. It's a real thing. It's not just a bunch of theoretical things. You know, when you come to grips with your inner authority, it's undeniable and it's really useful. And it takes a lot of pressure off other areas of your life and gets you much more in sync with life being able to serve you and to empower you and to support you. So I hope you've enjoyed that. It's been a pleasure for me sharing that with you, and have a great day or night or wherever you're at. And I'd love to work with you or talk with you again soon. Take care.